All right, my main topic. All right, Casey. Let's imagine that you are a brand new guitar player,
Okay.
and you are just now trying to figure out what kind of overdrives you like. How in the world do you narrow down
What to buy?
what to buy and what to even look at?
Okay.
Because there's only about 50 billion overdrives out there. So how do you even start looking at overdrives?
I wouldn't.
Okay.
I just wouldn't. Hopefully you got an amp that's got overdrive in it, and I would just play the crap out of it. But I know. I'm going to play the game. But in all honesty, I probably wouldn't until I got to the point, until it was different. So let's say I'm at the point where I'm going to buy an overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm trying to narrow it down, the first thing I would think about is what style of music I play, and like what kind of players I'm trying to sound like. And then I would think about what's my amp and what's my guitar I'm playing. And I would try to narrow it down from there, because I was guilty of this for sure when I first started, is just turning up too much gain when I turned overdrive or distortion pedals on. Start with distortion pedals, honestly.
Yeah,
more
the
than
DS1.
DS1, because I thought I needed all that gain. Come to find out years later, like, oh, Angus wasn't using that much gain. Eddie Van Halen wasn't using that much gain. All these different guys.
Right.
So I would say you don't need as much gain as what you think you need. And I would say take a look at your amp and your guitar and who you're trying to sound like, and probably don't buy the same pedal they've got.
So what are you supposed to look at?
I would try to look at.
If you're not buying the pedal that your hero that you want to sound like,
I would probably buy it.
Sense.
I would probably buy an amp in the box pedal.
So, if someone's trying to sound like, if they're trying to sound like Joe Satriani, you're not going to buy his pedals?
No.
Why not?
I probably wouldn't buy his pedals, because his pedals are set up for his rig and the way he plays in his guitars. And most likely, unless you happen to have Joe's rig.
That's what I'm saying. What if it's something similar to that?
If it's something similar to that, I would be interested in buying a Joe Satriani pedal then.
Okay.
I would be interested in that if that's the sound I'm going for. But if your rig is nothing like theirs, and you're not even close in the same ballpark, amp-wise and guitar-wise, as what you want to sound like, I would buy an amp in the box pedal. And I'm assuming if you're just starting to look at drive pedals for the first time and get into your first one, try to narrow it down, you probably don't have the same amp as your hero.
Fair enough.
So if that's the case, I would probably buy an amp in the box pedal, and I would want the amp in the box pedal to be the type of amp that my hero's playing, or the person that I want to sound most like is playing. So if they're a Marshall guy, I'm going to try to buy a Marshall amp in the box. If they're more of a Fender guy, I'm going to try to probably buy a Fender amp in the box style pedal. Tweed, whatever. That's where I would go.
Okay.
And start there. And then if you want to get a second one, it's easy. Like, what do I buy after that, though? Maybe buy a boost pedal to just give it a little more punch into that amp in the box pedal. And then, in my opinion, that's a good way to start. What about you? What would you do?
I think I'm taking a different route.
Yeah?
I do like your thinking, though. Get an amp in the box and just try to mold it to sound close to that.
Yeah, try to get in the ballpark. I'd probably turn my amp clean, get rid of the drive, unless I happen to have a great amp.
Yeah.
Yeah, and try to mold my sound as close as I can to what I want to be doing.
I like that idea. I'm going to go a route that's probably not popular, and I'm going to say you need to get, like, an all-in-one box.
Oh, I was afraid you were going to say that.
Like an M5.
Okay.
Like a $100 M5. It's got a tuner on there.
Yeah.
And then, you can get like a tube screamer sound.
Yeah.
You can get like a Klon-ish sound.
Yeah.
You can, I'm sure there's a DS1
You know
sound.
what? I would buy a Klon. I'd just buy a Klon. If you're buying your first pedal, just go buy a real Klon.
Okay. Anyways, back to reality.
Then you'll be happy.
Then you'll be happy, yeah.
I'm joking.
So anyways, I would buy something that's like an all-in-one, like an M5.
Yeah.
That had some drive sounds in it that gets you to at least an idea of what you're interested in. If it's not something like that, maybe, if you really are trying to spend a little more than that, Strymon makes these pedals, Riverside?
Mm-hmm.
That's like has a bunch of different gains in
Got a
them.
handful of them.
Yeah, a handful of drives in this one pedal.
Yeah.
And you know, it's digital. It's not perfect, but
Yeah.
like I know they make great drives in there. So that would get you a good bass tone, probably to get you around the ballpark of what you're looking for. And then also will let you know, hey, I like this drive, and it kind of was this flavor of overdrive. So maybe my next pedal is going to be more like that.
Yeah, I would stay away from a big multi-FX, though. I would stay away from HX stomps. I would stay away from...
See, I don't think that's a bad idea.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea initially. Like when I first started thinking about it, I almost said it. Like as you started going on your thing, I was like, you know what would be good as a HX stomp. But then I was like, yeah, but then you're just like menu scrolling, and you've got so many different drive pedals you're going through. And
I would say you can get the HX stomp if you don't have like any modulation and you're interested in all that. Because guess what? You can have drive and modulation all in one.
Yeah,
But
I
like,
wouldn't.
who's going to go out and buy, isn't that like 300, 500? I don't even know.
Yeah, probably somewhere in that ballpark.
That's $200
I don't know.
difference.
I don't know.
Okay,
I don't
so
know what the price
it's
is on them.
expensive. That's all I remember. It's probably
Yep.
$600. But anyways.
I think you're right about $550, something like that.
Yeah, so, you know, that's an expensive first pedal.
Yeah.
So I think an M5 is more realistic.
M5 is much more realistic.
Because you know what TC Electronic needs to make? Kind of what they did in the Flash, not the Flashback, the Plethora.
Yeah.
But do like drives.
Yeah.
TC Electronic needs to do something like that.
Yeah, that would be good too. There's that like Kernum pedal that you could get that has all that different
and
stuff.
you can change the EQ all
It's
of it.
real expensive too.
Yeah.
I mean, for a new pedal.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
for like,
M5 is your best bet.
and I think not. I think getting an amp in the box pedal is your best bet.
Yeah.
But I think we're probably on the same page with most of it. I could see why an M5 would be a good choice too. That's not a bad choice.
I think if you like your current amp and just want a drive on top, M5 is your way to go. If you're trying to shape the sound of your amp that you currently have, amp in the box is probably the way to go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.